Good good evening, and it's early evening in Minnesota, and we're doing the show much earlier than usual. Well, it's actually 9 o'clock. So I'm playing a clip from Robert Provost, who was now nominated as the Pope Leo the 14th. He's making his first public address in Italian, and I'll translate it later.
Costruire ponte con il dialogo, con l'incontro, unendoci tutti per essere un solo popolo, sempre in pace. Grazie a Papa Francesco. Voglio ringraziare anche tutti i confratelli cardinali.
It's too soft, so I'll just paraphrase what he said. He called for peace around the world, unity for everybody, people working together, that kind of stuff. Are you there?
Yes.
Now, when Suzette calls in, I have to merge the call, okay?
Nice.
So, and also this week in the news, Trump offered immigrants, if they volunteer to leave the country, if they're illegals, they get $1,000 flight free, probably plus a few meals. Because it costs $17,000 to deport them and $1,000 if they volunteer to leave. And then Tyre Nichols, the 5 cops that were mainly black who beat him up, I think they might have been all black. They got let off yesterday in a Tennessee court, but some of them had pending federal charges that they will be charged this summer. And they picked a jury from out of the region where it didn't happen. They picked jury members from Chattanooga, and Chattanooga jury members exonerated the kid they beat up to a pulp, which is rather sad.
Yeah, hopefully they can figure us a better way of dealing with this stuff. The press, though, is very, very biased, I have to say.
It is, but why do you think 5? Like, for example, the kid stepped out of the car. He didn't know what was going on, and then they were already ready to attack him before they could even explain what his charges were.
Yeah, sometimes cops can be aggressive, but when a cop stops you, what's your first reaction? Is it to step out and throw it down, or do you say, whatever you want, sir, just,
I usually stay in the car. I get my ID and my insurance ready, and I do exactly what they say in hopes that they won't give me a ticket.
And did they ever beat you up?
No, because I'm a white chick from Minnesota.
Well, now imagine if you did exactly what he did. How would they react?
Unfortunately, I only watched the headline news. I just saw what he looked like after they beat him up. I just saw that he stepped out of the car.
Right. I would have to say, it's always good to get the full, why did the cop stop him? And then what was his reaction? Because a lot of stuff, you see the press, and they only give you half the story. I could give you an example. Because I watch MSNBC, CNN, I watch Morning Joe, I watch Rachel Maddow, I watch them all. And I watch Fox, I watch not so much Hannity, but I will follow, Gut Phil, I will follow Jesse Waters, I like his stuff. But the point is, each one of them, they only show half the half they want you to see. With Kilmar Borrego Garcia, I'll give you an example. He was driving a car across state, gets pulled over. He's got 8 people in the vehicle. The cop goes, the patrol. He says, "Okay, you've got 4 seats back here. Like, did you put in an extra seat?" "No, I came in like that." Okay. I went. This is how come I know. I went looking with Acosta, my brother, and he had to have an SUV with 3 rows. You know how hard it was to find an SUV with 3 rows? There was like the Durango, and there was the Global something. The point is, we looked at 20 different makes, and there's like 2 of them that had 3 rows. Right? It's very different. I mean, it was a work. Everyone had 2 rows. This guy's 4 rows. He said, "Like, did you do anything to modify?" So in other words, how many rows do you have in your vehicle? Imagine 4 rows. Like, you're creating some transportation. Anyway, then he goes, "Okay, where are you going?" "We're going to work." He's going to work. Where are you going to? Missouri. Where are you from? Maryland. Where are you driving in? You're in Texas. Okay, so he came from Maryland. Who goes to work? "I'm going to work today. I'm going to drive, halfway across the country, and then I'm going to pick up some people. We're going to go 2 states over and go to work." "Oh, okay. By the way, he has $1,400 in an envelope." What? Have you ever driven around between jobs?
What state were they stopped in? What state were they stopped in?
It's like Texas or somewhere, like going all the way to Missouri, right? So he's out of state. He's got 8 people in 4 rows that you modify. He's got $1,400 in an envelope. He's getting paid to transport people. Call it what you want. It's human trafficking. And with an expired license and out of state, and he's, we're going to work. Do you know these people? "Oh, I'm picking up 8 of my buddies. We're driving across. Jane, you're going to work. You're going to go down to Florida."
Apparently he was lying.
The point is, you don't hear this on MSNBC. You do not hear it on CNN. You do not hear it on any Republican, conservative, Trump. They won't say a word. You don't hear on NPR or all these unbiased PBS. No. I did some research and got the cop.
So what happened to the guy? What happened to the driver?
So, and then his domestic. He had 2 domestic violence, and I've read the statements. He's like he hit me repeatedly in the face several times. I was brainwashed by the family, and he came back. He's in a gang. I'm scared. Like he's blah blah blah. And then they go, a Maryland union worker, father, illegally deported with MS-13. He has tattoos on his knuckles. That's what gang members do.
You're talking about the one who was deported to El Salvador.
The Congress people have flown back and forth, and every day they go again. Kristen Welker and Margaret Brennan. They're
hold on, Suzette's calling in. Hold on a sec.
But it's like they do symbols on their fingers, their knuckles, to declare what gang they are.
Suzette's on the line. Just say hi quick.
Oh, go ahead.
Hi, Suzette. Hi, Suzette.
Hello.
Hi, it's me and John.
Hi, John.
Hey, Rockstar.
So, Don can't join tonight. He's at an NAACP meeting.
Oh, man.
So he's not here to defend Tyre Nichols. John was talking about
media, misrepresentation.
John was
side of the story.
John. What the name of the guy from Maryland who was traveling with 8 people and $1,400? What's the name of the person?
His first name is Kill, right? Kilmar Borrego Garcia, and we're talking how all these Congress people are flying over there. We gotta free him, bring him back, even though he's in another country where he came from. And the point is, I was telling Jane, no one does each side only shows half of the story. If you do just a little research, that's what reporters should do. The dude's transporting 8 people. He's going to work, except he's going from Maryland down to Texas somewhere in the border, right, and then going to Missouri. So we're going to work today. I drove halfway across the country. I have 8 people in a vehicle that has 3 rows of seats. He's got 4. You have to. I mean, I looked for a month for a vehicle with 3 rows of seats for my friend Akosa. This guy has 4. He's asking the patrol is asking like, did you change these? Oh no, it came like this. Okay, he has an envelope, $1,400. You know, he's a poor guy, right? We're hardworking. Who drives around with $1,400 in an envelope with 8 people? Going across state, going to work, going to Missouri. I'm from Maryland. Nobody does that unless you're trafficking people. Oh, and then he's a family union working guy in Maryland. No, he beat up his wife. He got domestic violence. The wife called the police. They show up, and then they get a report. Oh, he slapped me and hit me in the face several times. Oh, the family has brainwashed me to try to be nice to him now. Oh, he's dangerous. He's in a gang. She's saying, this is her statement. It happens a second time. Like, if it happened to a baseball player once, like it did to the Dodgers, they had a Mexican pitcher 2 years ago, Urias, the hottest thing on the team. He gets a report that he punched his girlfriend in a parking lot after like a Cinco de Mayo thing. No witnesses, no video, but anyway, he's out. He's done. Gone. Out of baseball. He's a Mexican. But because it's a Trump issue, you don't hear any of this stuff. Like, one domestic violence, you're in prison. You're done.
Okay, can you slow down a minute? Because I want to say something.
Go ahead.
First of all,
Jane started with a black kid again, arrested by the police. And
no, I started with the Pope.
We haven't heard the whole story.
I started with the Pope being elected. I was gonna. Suzette, did you watch the full video of Tyre Nichols being beat up?
No,
You did?
I did not.
Okay, well, I was gonna play it live for you guys.
Okay.
That'll be good.
Yeah, you guys, I have to do it on my phone, which is what you guys are on. So just
Okay.
let me know if you guys can hear it. Okay.
Okay.
I'll tell you when I start. Now, John, the reason I didn't watch it is because I had a job interview at 1 and I had to work till 7 and I had a goofy day. Okay.
And he got killed, right? Tyre Nichols got killed.
He died 3 days later.
Oh, okay.
Okay, wait. No, the video footage was on my regular laptop. Hold on. I'm trying to find the video. Just a minute. Anyways, all 3 officers were found not guilty. Okay, well, I'm just gonna I can't find the video right now. It's screwed up. So let me just play this.
As a neurologist, I highly discourage the use of simple and
One moment.
for mental stimulation, especially for seniors like.
Well, today, a Tennessee jury found 3 former Memphis police officers charged in the death of Tyre Nichols not guilty. Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, and Justin Smith faced several state charges, including second-degree murder. The officers were accused of killing 29-year-old Tyre Nichols during a traffic stop in 2023. Body camera video shows several officers pull Nichols out of his car and then pepper spray and tase him. After Nichols tried to run away, the officers repeatedly kicked and hit him. Nichols died in the hospital days later. Tonight, prosecutors are reacting to the verdict.
Okay, so he was pulled out of the vehicle. He didn't voluntarily leave, John. And then after they started hitting him, he ran away. And then he got beat up worse.
There you go.
Well, still, I mean...
No, there's no but still. Wait a second. These cops, their lives are on the line. You imagine you go to work and your job is to restrain a kid, right? Kid kicks you, whatever, flips you off, runs down the hall. Your job, you can't let it go. Like, oh, that's not my job. You just go and do whatever you
No,
want.
I just I radio the dean, and the dean picks him up in the hallway.
And then he punches the dean, knocks him over, and starts running down the street. Now, the point is, whoever's in charge of restraining him, so, we have this.
Okay, but they did. He didn't hit anybody.
We should have let him go.
He didn't hit anybody.
It doesn't matter. He's resisting arrest, and he's a threat. He's running around. He has to be restrained and stopped. He's breaking the law, and he's not. Once you break the law, right?
Suzette, I'm gonna play it myself. I'm gonna watch it on my computer, and you guys talk a minute while I watch it. Then I'll tell you what happened.
What was his name?
I go to a club and they say, don't
just a
cross
minute,
the line,
John.
I'll walk in there.
It's Tyre, Tyre, Tyre Nichols.
Okay.
You can watch it at home. John, keep talking a minute while I watch this.
There's many things in life that we understand. If I go to a club and they say you can't enter, I say I'm going in anyway. What happens? A bouncer comes towards me. And I go, hey, F you, buddy. And I don't have to punch the bouncer. What he's going to do to me? He's going to grab me, slam me against the wall, and say, dude, you're out of here. Now I start to run from him. I'm running around in the club. What are they going to do? They're going to tackle me, maybe zip tie me or, whatever. But basically they're not going to do that. They're basically going to just physically beat the crap out of me, right? Isn't that how it goes down?
Right now they're showing the cop car following the guy. They haven't pulled him over yet. I'm going to give you a play-by-play, okay?
I'm looking at you. I want the cops to knock this guy down, zip tie him, and haul his ass into jail. I don't want a freak like this going on my...
Okay, hold on. Wait, John, wait. Jeez. I'll explain what happened in a minute, guys.
It looks like shaky video.
So what happened is...
movies where the camera's shaking so fast you can't see, you can think a bunch, it doesn't matter. The point is, he's resisting.
Okay, what happened is... Okay, I'll tell you what I saw, okay? Because I have to switch screens. He laid on the ground sideways. He had his head turned up talking to the cops. They kept making more demands. They kept saying, move to your stomach, move to your stomach. And then he tried to, but there was too many people around him. He tried to move to his stomach, but they were like slapping him or just trying to get him in the right position. And he was skinny, and all of a sudden he got up and started running, and they didn't get him right away. He just kept running. Is that what you saw, Suzette? Are you still here, Suzette?
Yeah, sorry, I was watching the video. I was on mute. I think it was excessive force, for what he did. They basically beat the crap out of him. Now, I understand, of course, officers have to protect themselves and so forth, and take in the perpetrator or whatever. But he did run away, and when they did bring him down, they all took turns basically punching and kicking him. And then after they backed away, he was just kind of protecting his face, laying there on the ground on his back, and then they sprayed him with pepper spray on top of that. So, I think that was excessive.
See,
I
John?
wouldn't charge him with murder, though. I would charge excessive force, give him a penalty, suspend him for 6 months or something like that. But here's the thing: that still is not the real evidence. I mean, the real video. You think about it. You're seeing a video. He looks like he's standing. There's 3 guys around him, and he's pushing against them. They're pushing him down. They're hitting. Of course, when you're holding someone, you don't know, is the guy just standing there limp?
He was on the ground within seconds. He went straight to the ground.
The point is, he's been chased. He's been run around. If I'm holding you, you could be just not moving, or you could be pushing all your weight against me. You could be swearing. You could be elbowing. You can't, up close personal, 1 foot away, the person holding them can tell you what's really going on. And you're looking at the last 5 minutes. You're not looking at the last, it's chasing a wild animal. I would tip him $100 and get a couple more in for me, but I definitely, they shouldn't excessively beat someone that's restrained. They should just have a rule. Once they're zip tied, put them on the ground, and then there's like a hold position or a hold angle, like you can't touch them or whatever. I'm good with that. But I would not go after these guys. I would go after the parents of this kid who allowed him to be this kind of person.
Okay, well, let me explain something. They beat him so bad in the head, he died 3 days later. His head was swollen up. He didn't die right away. He died 3 days later in the hospital.
Right.
And the only thing I'm upset with you about, John, is you made assumptions before you even saw the video.
Because we've seen every every couple months, you do a story on this. Joe Black guy, Joe teenager, hoodie boy got beat up and killed or assaulted. And you go, oh yeah, he resisted arrest, he was tased, he ran away, he punched the cop. You have to put into account all the stuff before that. For society, I don't want these people. Do you want these people seriously in your neighborhood?
Well, I felt like the way. When I said that he was on the ground right away, I meant when he first got out of the car. He did do what they say, but they acted like it wasn't good enough.
Compliant. That's what I'm saying. I have very little sympathy for people who are not compliant, who get their bucket. If he went to a club and he got beat up by bouncers, if he went to a bar with Hell's Angels and got the crap beat out of him, you go, you're a dumbass. You know you would say that. You say, why did you go in there with Hell's Angels and start throwing F-bombs at him? You're cruising for it. You poke the bear. But I'll take it to another angle. Why does it have to be look? It was 3 black men, but again, it's a black person. Why not the white guys who get beat?
It was 5 black guys on 1 black guy. Too bad Pianki.
People the only ones who get beat up by the police. How come you only report them?
I'm only reporting. Okay, I watch NBC News tonight. Okay, I had 3 obligations today. I had to go to 2 car repair shops to get the socket of my light fixed, so my blinker could be fixed. I didn't have a lot of time. I picked the top. Wait, I picked the top 3 news stories. I want to talk. I would like to talk more about the Pope. Or what Trump's doing in the Oval Office, but I think we spent enough time on this.
Before we leave this, no. The reason you showed it is because it's the top story. So to the degree, it's not so much your blame; it's the fact that the media only shows.
It's because I didn't plan well. That's why.
No, you planned fine. You can look all over the news. I never see anything. Oh, Mexican man beat up by very rare. Asian. You never hear that. Chinese man beat up by police in the U.S. You don't hear it, do you? Think about it.
Not when I'm watching headline news.
It's the police beat up a black.
Well, Suzette couldn't call last week, so I want to get some of her input about this and other news stories.
Go for it.
Suzette, what's on your mind tonight?
Well, as far as the story goes, I'm watching the video and then also the what do you call it? The video as far as a recreation of it or whatever, and they're showing the different positions of Tyre Nichols and the first cop that had caught up with him, and then the other ones that had joined in. He had Nichols initially on the ground. He had him with his arm twisted, and there wasn't any fight back. He was repositioning him, and then they got him on the ground, and then the officers just started going to town. He didn't have a gun. Yes, he shouldn't have run. The whole situation could have been, de-escalated by Mr. Nichols, but he chose to run. But it still doesn't condone what the officers had done. He didn't have a gun. Yeah, he may have fought back, and yes, they were pissed off. But when you have 1, 2, 3,
There was 5 cops.
5 officers, yeah, and this kid was like a rail, basically, maybe $1.50 at that. Yeah, I don't know how they found those officers not guilty.
Yeah, I guess
Honestly.
they're up on other federal charges, so they're not totally off the hook.
Well, that's good because they do need to answer up for that. If that was just not necessary, and I'm all with you, John, on that. That there are some that do and deserve to be manhandled, but they're so worried about being sued that they keep taking it, and some of the officers end up getting hurt just for arresting the punk, But in this case, I think it was what they did was just wrong. They just were out of hand. I mean, literally out of hand.
It's nice to have it's nice to have a differing viewpoint on the show between 2 conservatives.
Well, so as a counterpoint, first of all, when a cop pulls you over for reckless driving, you don't know if there's a gun, you don't know if he has a knife, and then also and when they break away, they run away. At that point, I go, all is fair, because you don't understand. He can hit someone with that car. He could run a cop over. He could run a pedestrian.
Well, he was
over.
already out of the car.
He got out of the car. He's running. Now, here's another point. We go, well, he doesn't have a gun. Well, you don't know what he has in his pockets or in his sock or in his waist. You think criminals, I've got a gun. I'm just holding it out here for you to see. No, it's in my sock. You wrestled me down. I reached down there. Boom, I'm dead. Here's another thing. Martial arts. Have you guys ever studied martial arts, deadly martial arts? You can kill someone, just pop them through the nose right into their face. You can hit the esophagus, choke them out. You can hit body parts that debilitate someone in seconds. It doesn't matter if you're tall or yeah, go ahead.
I agree with you on that as far as not knowing what I don't know what you want to call them, a person that they pulled over, what they have in their hands. So they need to be able to react in seconds and less than seconds. But in this particular case, the young man had run. And there was one officer that had caught up with him, and the other ones were coming up behind him. The one officer already had him on the ground with his arm twisted behind his back, and then he, got him to stand up, and he was repositioning him. And just at that point, the other officers came in and jumped on him, basically threw him to the ground and started beating the shit out of him. Pardon my language. Yeah. That's what happened. And he was already contained by the one officer. He wasn't flailing. He wasn't moving. He couldn't because his arm was twisted behind his back. Not very many people can do that as far as move around when you got your hand twisted behind your back. It hurts. And he was sitting, and then he stood him up. There was no need for those officers to come in. That's basically like in football. You got somebody that took out somebody and tackled them, and then you have a dog pile afterwards. And it's like, okay, he's already down. He's down already, guys. And that's basically what happened. And he couldn't even get up after that, and then he was taken to the hospital. But so in this particular case, what happened was absolutely wrong, in my opinion. there are other cases that, what doesn't matter if one officer has a guy you've got this idiot that's flailing and punching and kicking and everything that he can do to get away. And so then it's necessary for the officers to help contain him so that they can handcuff him. But not in this case. And there are several other cases that document exactly what you said and where it's justified. But in this case, no.
Okay, so
I'm saying, has any of us
John?
ever lost their temper?
John?
Have any of us ever been into a fight? Have you ever had to
I
restrain
lost
a
my
man who's
temper with a
attacking you?
cop, and right now I didn't lose it like yelling at him. I just disagreed, and I have my second court hearing next Thursday because I'm
Right?
fighting it.
Have you ever had to chase a man and physically stop him? That it potentially is a threat to other people's lives, like your family, like the grandma.
No, I haven't.
Okay, until you do that, understand. What I'm saying is I'm factoring a little mercy here on the police. Now they were excessive, yes, but I wouldn't charge them with murder, and they'll go. Well, their actions led to his death. But what I'm saying, that young man's actions led to them acting this way. I'm just saying there's a human component. Are cops going to be perfect? It's like, no, they're like you and me. Chase down a man and try to physically stop someone. It's a kid who's athletic and they're going to be running. They got a lot of energy. You catch this kid, you want to put him down, and the first thing to do is this kid's fighting him. So
Well,
again,
he didn't fight him right away. They were slapping him and scaring him, and everything he did wasn't good enough. So then he probably just got super scared and got up on his hind legs and ran away.
the point is, when you try to stop someone and you chase them down for 10 minutes and they're fighting you and you're in the street, it's a different. All I'm saying is try it. Try it and see what happens. Anything goes out there. And it's very hard to be perfectly controlled. It's very hard to be perfectly controlled when you deal with this day after
We
day.
understand, and I just want to comment. The reason I brought it up is because the officers were acquitted yesterday. That's why it was in the news. It's not something that just popped up.
It's a philosophical issue. I like law and order, and when people disobey a officer who I pay money to protect me from people steal. They stole my freaking car cover last week. It's $100. They stole it off of my car. Even though part of it is sealed into the door. I closed the door, so part of it's sticking inside. They pulled it out and they ripped it in an area. Freaking pisses me off because I can't stop that. Some freak at the middle of the night goes and rips my thing. I've had my skateboard stolen, both laptops stolen, my guitar stolen, my car's been stolen, my wife got stolen. Do you understand? I get pissed. So when someone
Did you say your wife got stolen?
When everything has gotten stolen, my business got stolen. My condo got stolen from. The point is, when people break the law brazenly like that, I say just let's get rid of trash. Literally, I don't say they should kill him. I'm just saying this guy's not complying. Beat the crap out, teach him a lesson, and got the guy out.
That ain't right. You don't have to beat the crap out of somebody.
Yeah. Well, when someone steals everything you got, I would say, definitely. He's a punk. Punks get.
He didn't steal anything. He was trying to save his ass.
Why didn't he comply?
Because those people, they were acting like jerks. Those cops are acting like, why don't you take 5 minutes, take a break from the show and watch the video so Suzette and I can...
I've watched it several times. I've watched
Suzette and I want to talk about the... I want to talk about the Pope.
That's fine.
Okay, Robert Provost, the new Pope, he's fluent in Spanish and Italian. He spent 2 decades in Peru, and recently he was in charge of managing bishop elections and nominating bishops to their posts in the Vatican. And he's from Chicago, Illinois, and he's an Augustinian father. Has anybody heard any more about him?
if he's in the Pope mobile and it goes past a light and he doesn't get out when the police officers ask him
You're
to
an
show ID,
ass.
I want them to teach that Pope a lesson.
Well, hopefully he can swear at them in Italian and they won't understand.
Do you know if he's in Vatican City, they can't do anything because they have their own police, their own laws. It's their own country. You can be a pedophile, rape babies, and they send you to the Vatican and you can't touch them. Do you know that?
No, I didn't know that, but I know that Pope Francis he installed showers for homeless people in Vatican City.
Just don't drop the soap.
All right, you're being mean tonight.
Oh, I'm mean person. Hey, they stole my car cover. I have a breaking point.
You act like
Go ahead.
Suzette, will you help him? Put him in therapy?
Have you ever had a woman steal your keys, stuff it down her blouse, grab your cell phone, throw it out a fifth floor to the ground, yell out in the hallway, don't touch me, don't touch me. And you think, oh, well, that's just, she's misunderstood. People are misunderstood. Let's be nice to people. No, if you rob, if you steal, if you break the law, I don't care who you are, the Pope, whatever, it's like, let's have law and order. That's all I'm saying. Simple.
By the way, when she called me 2 weeks ago, I was going to bring that up.
Yeah. Oh, and she also hit my car once with her car. She also one time trying to kick my testicles from here to New York, but she missed. Oh, yeah, just, people, we want to be kind to everyone.
Have you thought about going to therapy?
The point is, it's a crazy world. You need male physical law and order and control.
Why do you need male? Why can't there be a female cop?
Well, why isn't there a female Pope?
Because that's not how they roll in the Catholic Church.
It's a male society. We have to keep law
Suzette,
and order.
can you do the next topic? John's in the penalty box. Okay, I'll bring up a new subject, you guys. Suzette, did you hear that Donald Trump wants to give voluntary illegals? He'll pay up to $1,000 to send them back to their own country, and maybe throw in a few meals for them. And if they behave and they apply illegally, they can come back someday.
Yes. And I think that's a good thing, because as our laws stand now, before he signed that executive order, if you came in illegally and you were caught, then you would be sent back to your country and never be allowed to apply to come into the United States legally. It would just be, you're gone, and that's all. So at this point, he's saying, maybe you can come back, but you have to self-depart. And if you have children, you have the option of taking your children with you, or finding a relative or someone that they could stay with here. You choose. And so most of them are taking their children with them. And then he had the news saying that Donald Trump is deporting children with cancer and so forth and so on. But that's not the deal. The deal is you have the option of taking your child with you or not, or leaving them here, and then applying later to enter the country legally. So I think that's a good thing.
So what do you think the incentive is for the illegals? Just not the fear of not being caught?
The fear of not being caught, the opportunity to return legally, and that's pretty much it. Otherwise, you have to keep watching over your shoulder, and hope that ICE doesn't catch you. And then at that point in time, you don't have a choice of taking your American baby with you. You go, and your baby or children would be taken into, what do you call it?
Foster care?
Child services. Mm-hmm.
Well, that was one of the more interesting things I saw in the news. I also saw that some people might be deported to Libya. but there wasn't a confirmation that the Libyan government wanted them. And that seems like a faraway place to send people.
Why wouldn't they be returning to their countries?
I don't know why the Trump administration picked a country like Libya to send people to. Maybe he was just looking for places to send people, and then he wants to reopen Alcatraz.
Mm-hmm.
Probably for the... Now, right now,
Criminals.
it's a tourist site right now. So the city of San Francisco, would probably have to comply.
Maybe that's where he wants to send terrorists, domestic terrorists.
And supposedly, England and the United States are in the middle of trade negotiations, and China and the U.S., one of our envoys is going to be meeting, I think, in Switzerland to discuss trade policy.
That's good, because China is hurting with their different factories, manufacturing, and so on and so forth, because we are like a mass importer of Chinese goods, and they need us. And yes, we need their items too, but they need us more, because otherwise it puts people out of business if they can't, deport or export mass products like they do.
Right, and I heard one of the owners of Mattel being interviewed. The Barbie prices are going to double. So are things like Tonka trucks coming from China.
Mm-hmm.
And they are considering opening plants in the U.S., but it'll take 3 years.
Okay.
So I was going to let you guys, I have a brief announcement. It's 9:40 in Minnesota, and I have to close the show out by 9:55 because on Thursday nights we have to be to work at 10:30.
Okay. One story I wanted to bring up was what's going on at Columbia University, where you have Palestinian or protesters for Palestinians.
I saw that.
Yeah, taking over the school, and they're chanting things like, what is it, Intifada and revolution in Palestine, and these students, they get grants or permission to come here and study, and they're supposed to be here to study and learn. They're not here to protest. And so when Trump says no more money for the school that's going to support these protests because they consider it free speech. Okay, free speech, yes, but number one, you're not a citizen of the United States. Number two, you're sent here to study, not protest. And number three, you're not here also to commandeer the school and barricade yourselves and chant for what you want in another country.
The way they were protesting was pretty hostile. I saw the footage from the library.
And they finally called the NYPD, and so they're arresting them now.
And they have to, if they don't have their ID on them, it's going to be a problem because they want to find out the names of the people who are doing it, and not all of them are carrying their IDs.
Yeah, which means they probably don't go to that school, and they're just starting trouble. But the staff members were locked in. They were barricaded in the library. They couldn't be let out. People had them. I was like, "What are you doing? What?"
That's really quick. It's one thing to be outside on the sidewalk with a sign, but that's pretty goofy.
Yeah, they took over the library, so you have students that are legit as far as they need to study for exams coming up because midterms or whatever, and they can't. They're prevented from doing it because these people have barricaded themselves in the library. It's like, what? I just don't understand, how people can be upset with Trump when he says, if you're going to support these protests, and then later figure out, oh, yeah, this is getting out of hand, so now we're going to use resources like the NYPD to come in and break this up. I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, I just saw some footage. And I thought that they beelined to Harvard too, because Harvard's lost millions of dollars in research money now because of this. And that's a lot of money to lose just for a handful of protesters who are using their free speech mechanisms. John, are you still on the line?
Oh,
I would say that most of the money that they get, their endowments and donations and stuff, may be coming from outside sources supporting these protests, and so they can't really say no to them because that's where they get a lot of their money. And so, but they'll say no to the federal government as far as any type of block grants for students. They're like, yeah, we're going to do what we want because they know they have that other money. But is it worth it? They're finding out no.
And also at Temple University this week, there was someone installed an anti-Semitic bar stool, and it ended up being 2 Temple University students who are now on the verge of getting expelled, and they got fired from the bar. And they said that they did it as a joke, and it wasn't funny. The owner was livid.
Yeah, I bet. And then you have another story with Portnoy. I can't remember his first name. Anyway, Barstools. He's a known figure. And at one of his bars, they have tableside service. So basically, you can go in and get a table, and you have a waiter at your beck and call. And each table section has a sign, put whatever you want on it. And they had put on there as far as something anti-Semitic. What? Oh, F the Jews on there. And he was at home when he found out. Yeah. And so basically those people were kicked out, and he was really upset about it. Now, it's like, okay,
so I think, do you think people are mad at the Jews because now they're re-entering the Gaza on the ground?
Could be, yeah. But whatever's going on over there doesn't have anything to do with here, except for people that are, determined to be on one side or the other, and what it's doing is killing free speech on both sides. And you can be anti-Semitic. There's no law against it, unless there was recently put in there. But as far as I know, anti-Semitic comments or anything else is protected speech. Just like if you were to say the N-word to somebody and they call you racist, it's not illegal to be a racist. It's not illegal to say the N-word. But we're starting to group people and give special protections, which we're all supposed to be equal under the law, versus this hate speech and these enhanced sentencing for hate crimes and all this other. So, totally going against the Constitution when we do that. You can't say this about these people, and you can't say this about these people or to these people or whatever, and it's making me nuts.
Just so you know, at my school that I work at, the middle school on the west side of town has more African Americans, and they can say the N-word to each other, black student to black student, all day long if they want, right in the classroom. There's no repercussions.
Nope.
Because
of course not.
Because for them it's a cultural thing, and then they were trying to play on the words the other day, like saying Snickers or knickers or some kind of word like that. And I was outside with them playing, 3 people playing football, and they try to get you to say things, but I don't.
You got to call a bar and ask them if they could call out, you're looking for somebody named Nick Gert. Yeah.
So I just kind of shut up when they start play games like that, because I don't want to box myself in saying the wrong word. Now, John, why don't you make? Unfortunately, we still have 7 or 8 minutes left, but I have to go to the bathroom. So, John, it's your time to jump in and talk about Israel.
Oh, Israel! Look at the Jews.
We'll talk about the protests and then how you feel what Israel's doing right now. I'll be right back, you guys.
What they could do with the protests is they could have the Memphis police that were almost suspended, have them help the colleges supervise these protests. And, they could get, they could work on their human public relationship skills. To disperse the crowd, they could play some of my songs, my music. That should get them to leave immediately. They should be crowd control. That should work pretty good. As far as the Jews, let's see, Israel is the number 15th military power on the earth. You can imagine that. U.S. Gaza, I think they had a ceasefire, and then it's up and down. The Houthis yesterday waved the flag. They said, don't bomb us no more. We're going to leave the ships alone. So it looks like Trump's peacekeeping agenda through strength is working. What say you, Suzette?
I say sometimes you have to show a little strength. And just like in his first term, when he had fired that missile into Syria, things were kicking up. And it wasn't to start a war. He just shut it down. He said, all right, this is my way of saying knock it off. He pushed the button, the missile flew, things calmed down. I didn't know what he was going to do. They're like, oh, crap, he just pushed that button. Even though that facility didn't have any people in it, it didn't need to. It was a message. And so sometimes you just got to send a message.
Wow. Well, also today, I not much was mentioned on this show. U.S. Britain did a agreement, the first of the tariff deals, where we will be importing and exporting products. 10%. What they're going to do is they'll take the Rolls-Royce engines, and they'll use them in some of our military, with some of our space and military applications, as far as the engines that power the planes and things of that nature. Also, beef, they're going to allow U.S. beef to go over to across the pond. And that's significant because there's a big deal where they don't accept our beef because of some of the chemicals and some of the hormones and other things that are in our meat. So they've worked up some kind of agreement over the last 90 days. So they have to fine-tune the language. But that's rather interesting that they'll have to clean up some of our beef, I think. They do have several kinds. There's organic, there's range-free, and corn-fed. There's all these different kind of guidelines. So it'll be interesting to see what RFK and his big pharma crackdown will yield. We'll see what happens there. But I thought that was significant because it starts the domino effect. You've got to get Japan. You've got to get the big three are Canada, Mexico, and China. So those are the big three. So if you get England, to a certain degree, you're getting Canada because the British crown is over Canada. So I think that's majorly significant. The press, though, once again, they're not saying anything about it. Just like nothing.
I read today that Canada, 60 to 80% of their exports are the U.S. So they can't really do without us.
Right.
Here's a question, Jane. You'd mentioned that Donald Trump does not have the skills to negotiate with Europe, with the worldwide, globally. Now, last week, we had a minerals deal signed with Ukraine. So we'll be going into Ukraine with our people, our technology, and getting minerals, which will basically, it's a sign to Russia, like back off. He just signed a deal with England, lining up are these other countries.
I have a question, though.
He had Gaza and Israel. They talked. If in the 4 years of Joe Biden, there was no talks with Israel and Gaza. There was no talks with Ukraine.
Yes, he talked.
Russia.
Biden talked with Netanyahu in those 4 years.
But he didn't work anything out. Like, Biden was supposed to be the foreign relations master with all his experience. How come Trump worked deals where no one else has?
Okay, I don't agree with the minerals deal because I think It's the Ukraine's minerals, and they should get 50% of what we mine.
Will you kiss his ring, though, the fact that he negotiated
No, I
the deal when he
won't.
said he couldn't do anything over there?
He's doing things for our advantage, not for
America first, right?
I don't agree with that. I agree with if you
So
mine
no matter
just
what he does,
wait.
He did it.
If you
Okay.
mine the minerals, then you should give at least 25 to 50% of the profits or the minerals themselves to the Ukraine because it's their land. We're taking advantage of them. It's tit for tat.
So the fact that he said he couldn't work deals, he's working deals now. You just don't.
He
like
didn't
the way
end
he
the
does
war.
deals.
He didn't end the war.
You don't think? Well, it's been 3 months. He's already signed. The point is, Biden didn't even talk to Putin. He didn't talk to.
Yes,
to
he
have them
did.
Work a deal. They didn't do anything.
That's not true.
Arms and money, or basically money and worth of arms, basically over there to continue the war.
And Joe Biden had sanctions on Russia. It's not like he wasn't doing anything.
Joe Biden wasn't conscious during any of those processes.
Okay, I only have 2 minutes of the show left, and I can end it early. How's that?
Okay. I wanted to bring one quick, you've got 2 minutes, so I want to mention Palantir and how they just position themselves as a nervous system of the world and the most powerful military alliance. Now, Trump is cutting all these jobs like IRS and, these other Social Security as far as jobs go. And people are going, well, they're already doing a poor job. They need more people. Well, I think that it's all going AI, and that's why he can let go of all those people. And that's not necessarily a good thing. Now, Project Maven, MAV as in Victor, EN, officially known as the Algorithmic Warfare Cross-Functional Team, is a U.S. Department of Defense initiative. And it was launched in 2017, and its primary goal is to integrate artificial intelligence and machine learning into military operations. But it can also do behavioral analysis on people. So basically, the pre-crime processing. The project gained notoriety when Google withdrew from it in 2018 following employee protests over the use of AI warfare. And since then, Palantir stepped up, which is Peter Thiel. He stepped up and as a major contractor for the project. Well, March 2025, NATO finalized a contract with Palantir, a pre-crime technology company, to acquire a custom version of the Maven Smart System known as MSS NATO. So that's something people might want to look into because that's important, not only for our military and how war will be fought, but also coming to a theater near you.
Is Palantir a private company?
Yes.
Okay.
Our military just contracted with them.
You and John can talk 3 more minutes while I go cut my pizza for my lunch. So
okay.
Go on. You guys can talk 3 more minutes. Thank you for providing that. And next week we should look into the India-Pakistan conflict. There's been some major exchange between those countries. So you guys, I'm going to cut you guys off in 3 minutes. Thanks for calling in. I'll be in the kitchen.
Okay. So to continue with this, NATO just brought into a system that fuses AI, battlefield surveillance, and big data into one real-time interface. Palantir is programmed to follow movement patterns, social media posts, data footprints, fed into an algorithm that flags threats before anything happens. And to be put rather bluntly, this technology turns people into a series of patterns with a risk score analysis. So we already had a bill that went through Congress. It did not pass, but it's still going through named in other various ways, but it was originally called the TAPS Act, where they were going to have agencies in every city, not just your county, but in your city, in order to do this pattern recognition and pre-crime business, but it didn't pass. Thank goodness. But it's not to say that it won't. And if they integrate with this system, or if they actually contract with it, when I say they, I mean our federal government, in order to, calm down crime, eliminate crime, something in that area. But that's not good. That's not good at all. We have the World Economic Forum talking about this, and doing this as a collective around the world. So because of all the data that's collected, it can be used against the people in every country, and they will have control of that. This was in their conference that they had in 2024, and a lot of it is already being implemented. States, and cities are being integrated as a helpful point. So in New York City, for example, they have a lot of crime. They have, their squad or their police force is not sufficient to handle all the crime that's going on. And so they're encouraging business owners to oh no, hang on, my thing's beeping. Of course.
It's your crime detection unit.
My carbon.
It's connected to your brain.
Okay, we got it. Okay, so anyway, so they're encouraging businesses to have cameras, of course, but the cameras will be integrated into the police department and also within these other agencies by the World Economic Forum to be able to surveil, to help you with the crime in your business. And what better way to do that is to have somebody watching over it, so they know everything that's going on in your business, and it's for your safety and protection. It's crazy. I mean, I'm learning and reading stuff that's just like mind blowing, and it's not science fiction. These things, contracts and so on, have been signed, sealed, and delivered, and so pay attention, folks. Pay attention. It's crazy.
Well,
John?
would you accept this technology if you were able, if it enabled you to walk, and everyone on the planet has walking impairment, mental retardation, Parkinson's, immobility, issues, if the whole world could be cured of this, but they all have to be hooked into a bank where every government knows what you're thinking, tracking everything you do, would that be an acceptable swap?
No.
Wow.
Absolutely not.
You're not going to Neuralink your brain?
No. I have a question for you. Hang on. Okay. Do they say mental retardation in the song Rock the Casbah? It's a different subject altogether.
Oh, I used to like that song. Not that I like the song, but it's a goofy song, right? So I think there is a phrase to retards of some kind.
Yeah, it's a mental retardation. Rock the Casbah. Rock the Casbah.
The first time I heard that song, I didn't think they were saying rock. I thought there was an F on it. I was like they were letting us on TV, on the radio. But that's from Midnight Oil, isn't it? The band, I think was Midnight Oil. I think
the band was Midnight Oil. Was it? Midnight Oil sang it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go. Ding, 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 ding. Winner.
But I wonder, were they, was it that song a hit in Saudi Arabia or, like Iran or?
Was it a hit in Saudi Arabia or Iran or anything like that?
In Australia.
Australia.
They get away with a lot of stuff down under.
They get away with a lot of stuff down under, he says.
So, what do you think of who will be the next major country to sign a deal with Trump?
Oh, I don't know. What concerns me